So if you're not having any disagreements, if you're not having any rough and tumble, uncomfortable conversations from time to time, then that's a clue that you're not growing together. It's a clue also that more likely than not, the woman has checked out of the relationship.
Did you push record?
Thanks so much for tuning back into our second act with Paige and Silka. Today we continue our conversation with divorce attorney, divorce coach, and former family court judge DeAnn Salcido. DeAnn, thanks so much for staying over.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, we just finished a segment where we answered a viewer topic. Men were wondering why so many more women file for divorce than men. And that's actually how we met on Facebook. I was looking for somebody that could address that. And, who's more perfect than you? From both from a professional and I've been there, done that perspective. And that's what we want to talk about today. You brought up a really good point at the end of our segment. So I want to pick back up on that. But this segment is really for both. How do both men and women know that we're at risk? These are some red flags that you may not know otherwise.
Yeah. So we were talking about common experience that men have relayed to me, which is I had no idea this breakup was coming. I didn't see it coming. I thought things were going great. I knew we had some bumps on the road, but I thought we had worked through it. I wasn't hearing any more fights. And from my experience, both in divorce court as a judge, from being a woman who is just tired of the broken record of arguments, and from being a divorce attorney, that could be a red flag. Basically, as it's common knowledge, every healthy relationship will have disagreements, because if you're healthy, you're going to have different points of view on things. You're not, clones of each other. And so sometimes you will disagree on how to handle a situation. It's not that you're going to always agree. It's how you disagree is the measure of a healthy relationship. So if you're not having any disagreements, if you're not having any rough and tumble, uncomfortable conversations from time to time, then that's a clue that you're not growing together. It's a clue also that more likely than not, the woman has checked out of the relationship. And so that's a huge red flag.
Yeah, see, I thought that was brilliant because that's so true, but we didn't quite express it like that. Women, we like to engage, we like to talk, and while we maybe we don't like to fight, but in a way we do. We interact like that, and if we don't, there's no interest.
Yeah, and then so when you're talking about gray divorce and what could lead to divorce at this stage in our lives, I think we have to also take into consideration, as I was mentioning to you at the break, that we are at a point in our lives where we're going to start losing either our jobs, our children are gone, and then for some people, they are grieving the loss of a loved one or a friend. And so grief is a powerful emotion. And if you're not getting counseling outside, you might withdraw from your intimate relationships, and it impacts it. And so that's another thing. Grief is a leading predictor of divorce. And so I really, really, really want to emphasize to people that don't suffer in silence. At least if you do need to, and I'm going to share something personal, and he's okay with it. My boyfriend right now, he's grieving. He's lost his father and his brother suddenly in the last 2 years. And I love him to death, and I'm not praying for patience, but I'm being patient as he needs to basically putter more around the house. He needs to be in the garage with his music, and he's creating tasks for himself. And if I was not as confident about our relationship or the beauty of it, I could be taking offense to that. I could feel like he's withdrawing. I could feel like he's no longer interested in me. And so grief, whether it's a loss of a job, your role in the household because the children are off to college, or we used to entertain around our kids' friends, and now we don't know what to do with each other. Grief takes many forms. And so that's another reason for gray divorce.
That's again a great point because and I have referred to that a lot, and probably the birth of this platform was when you wake up all of a sudden at 50, you cross that half century mark, and so many things, if they haven't already changed, are about to. Like you said, we're heading towards retirement, the empty nesters, everything you just said, and then for women, menopause.
Oh gosh, yeah. Don't forget those hot flashes, right? Oh my gosh. And definitely we need a patient person next to us in bed because the sheets are on, the sheets are off, the windows are open, the windows are off. It's a torture for everyone.
It is. It is. It really is. And men, go, of course, andropause is not quite as drastic as what we put our men through, and I mean that. It's. Well, we think we're going crazy, and we don't know what's going on with us. How can our man understand unless we somehow find a way to communicate that?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of friendships, women losing friendships, dear friends. They've been decade-long friends, and something happens during menopause, and things are triggered that, old wounds are resurfacing, or they're just blown up to a different degree than really matters. And then that's why they have those Hallmark movie channels where they reconnect. They reconnect when somebody's diagnosed with cancer, or another tragedy happens. So don't let that happen to anybody. We all need to just be more forgiving in this world, is my advice in that regard.
And and again, with going back to how we originally started our segments here, which is men wondering why women file so much, is that the not listening. That's the biggest complaint that women have, is that they're not being heard in the relationship.
Not being heard, and again, it goes back to with the menopause that you just mentioned. Sometimes women, our bodies are fighting against us, and then we have the stress adding to the cortisol, adding to our weight, so we're also not feeling as sexy as we want. We have all these images at the checkout lines with our Ben and Jerry's, like what we're supposed to look like, but I'm like, I really need my Cherry Garcia ice cream tonight or someone's going to die. So so we're fighting with ourselves, like, I shouldn't buy this, but I want it. And so if we're not feeling sexy either, that can trigger us to overreact on situations where, like, something that is a neutral action by our partner could be taken by someone who's not feeling confident and sexy as a rejection, when it's not. It's just, I just wanted to take a shower by myself tonight. Not like, oh, he doesn't want me because I bought the, Cherry Garcia ice cream and I ate the whole thing in one sitting. So neutral acts. And so that's where, like, divorce coaching and any type of coaching, we need to just take the action for what it is and not assign meaning sometimes.
Yeah, which is what I think women do that more so than men.
Yes. So that's why I said, like, having emotions is great, but it's also a responsibility. And we have to make sure that we don't assign too much meaning to neutral acts as well as women, I would say.
Yeah. Again, that's a great point. And I hear you loud and clear. I'm one of those, I overanalyze everything. And then you just keep thinking and thinking and thinking. And next thing you know, I've said something creative that has no basis.
So yes, and so I'm guilty, and that's why I'm even, using these examples. I'm guilty, but what I've learned is when these ideas start to go through my head, I need to just express it. And if I express it, whether it's to another friend or to my boyfriend, then I find out it's really not that big a deal. And almost hearing myself say it out loud can minimize it. It's like, oh, yeah, he just needed to take a shower, okay? And he didn't need me to scrub his back today. So there's things like that.
Yeah. Well, and, at this part of our life, especially if we married a long time, there's so much, I won't call it baggage, but history, and so much resentment that's been built up, and I mean, that's all normal, but it's how we deal with it at this point that becomes critical. So we are at the end of this segment again already. Is there anything you'd like to leave in closing as a final thought?
Well, we were talking about, like, what are the red flags of your relationship? And again, just like I had mentioned before, always do a check-in, whether you're the female or the male. Is everything good? How's it going? It doesn't mean you have to solve the problem that night. So don't feel like, oh my God, if I ask that question, I need to answer it. And the other thing is also on the women's end, if you're not feeling good about yourself, don't put that on your partner. Put that back on yourself. And that's what I would say. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have bought the Ben & Jerry's, but I'm going to start again tomorrow. So it's not a reason to go buy more cookies tomorrow. Like every time we hit a red light out in traffic, we don't turn around and go home. So just keep plowing through is what I would say.
Yeah, great advice. DeAnn, I'll hold you over for another segment, and we'll see you next time on Our Second Act with Paige and Silka.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right over here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see that little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too, and you'll be notified every time we release a new video. See you next time.